Hello and welcome to It's Not an Interview. I'm Daniel Olabode. For that one person who was waiting for about a month for this episode to be released, I apologize. We actually recorded this episode in early May. I usually try to upload an episode a week or two after I record it, but due to time pressure from all of my other projects and just being all over the place, I kept pushing this back again and again. But now it's here, so you can rest easy. We have already recorded sessions with some other cool guests too, so rest assured, more episodes are on the way after this one. Today's guest is Sarah Lubala, a friend of mine and a recent graduate from Central St. Martin's. She was studying product design. She's a very talented painter and artist, as well as being a very curious and experimental person. I've seen some of the paintings that she's produced on fabrics, which look really beautiful. Unfortunately, we aren't able to show any of them during this episode, but if permitted, I may post them on our Facebook page, so you can see all of our artwork there. So like us on Facebook on It's Not an Interview, and maybe you may see that. Sarah doesn't have a online presence for her work, so there are no links for you to click on to find any of her artwork or designs at the moment. But you can follow her on her Instagram page, which I'll link in the description below. Currently, Sarah's projects have had a focus on hemp, an extremely versatile crop that can be used to make a range of things, from fabrics, paper, textiles, biofuel, insulation, cosmetics, paint, biodegradable plastics, supplements, medicine, as well as being a food source that's really high in protein. Hemp is pretty much a super crop, but it's underutilized and underappreciated, largely due to the demonization of marijuana, as both are members of the same plant species, though hemp is not psychoactive like its sister plant. In the podcast, we touch upon hemp and its benefits, and we get to know more about Sarah's desire to produce hemp in Congo, as well as across Africa, which I think is a brilliant idea, as well as being able to make a range of products and materials. Hemp is really high in CBD, or cannabidiol, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which has growing medical potential as an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, neuroprotectant, anti-tumor agent, amongst other things. The market for CBD oil is growing fast, and it's a shame that there's only 2 countries in Africa, South Africa and most recently Malawi, which have taken the step to produce it in their countries. Hemp plastic is what Sarah focuses on specifically, and also has great potential in my eyes. Its biodegradable properties would cut the need for common plastics that are clearly bad for the environment. My talk with Sarah really encouraged me to refresh my knowledge of hemp and its benefits, both as a material and the industry in Africa as well as abroad. And I, like Sarah, am a huge proponent of its cultivation across Africa as well as the world. In this time where countries like Nigeria are beginning to have an agricultural revolution, hemp shouldn't be ignored. If you find this podcast interesting, do like and share it on whatever platform you listen or watch it on. If you have any comments about what we talk about in this podcast, feel free to post it up, and I'll be very interested in hearing what you have to say. Now, I hope you enjoy our conversation. Okay, thank you, Sarah, for coming on.
No worries, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to bring you on to talk about all of the art that you've done since I've met you. Like your art and your creativity ranges from, like, you do a lot of creative things. So I'm very curious to see what the type of things that inspires you and the type of things that make you do what you do. I think the first sort of thing I saw of you was the paintings that you drew on. I guess it was these. It was
on a fabric, yeah. Yeah, it was on a fabric that was from Congo, and I used sand, pastel, and paint to do it, and the result was actually pretty amazing, stunning. I liked it, yeah. Yeah.
And then now you're doing some work with hemp.
Yeah, right now I'm focusing my next project on hemp, which is a material that is coming from marijuana.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would say that it's actually coming from the cannabis plant, but you can only use it for industrial matter purposes. So what I'm trying to do right now is to promote the benefits on hemp in the design world, because that's one way I believe that I can change the world if I should do it. Trying to help people understanding what is the benefits of hemp instead of them being scared of it, because of the bad connotation that it has with weed and marijuana and smoking, while actually it's one of the best plants that exists in the world.
What makes hemp like so different to other materials?
Well, first of all, you can eat it. You can use it as plastic. You have hempcrete now that people use to build houses. You can create hemp plastic. People are trying to study hemp to make oil, and any kind of gas. So yeah, that is the only plant that can feed you, heal you, and help you build a lot of stuff. So yeah.
So the project that you're doing now, like it uses hemp as a material, as a replacement to, say, plastic.
Yeah. And wood.
So I guess hemp is quite steady, it's quite strong.
It is really strong. Yeah, it's one of the strongest plant because of its fibers is really, really strong. And the reason why I want people to learn more or educate themselves more about hemp is because a lot of trees are getting cut in order to make papers or furnitures, while you can just grow hemp and do the same thing. And we need trees to breathe, just to be alive. So why not just stopping cutting trees to make papers and just use hemp to make papers, or even make your own furnitures? It would be something that would help the environment a lot.
Can you grow hemp? Is the way you grow hemp differently to the way you grow marijuana, or are they two in the same? So if you want to grow hemp, what do you do?
Hemp grows a bit higher. It can grow maybe 4 to 5 meters, 4 to 5 meters, and marijuana is shorter than that. And you can't really grow hemp indoor. I would not see the point of doing that, because it's mainly used for industrial matter. So if you want to start growing hemp, just start growing a hemp farm, and that way you can just turn it to anything you want. You also have hemp milk now. You have hemp seeds, so soon you have hemp plastic again, hemp oil, hemp seeds, hemp milk, hempcrete, hemp paper. So
it's very versatile.
It is really versatile. So I really encourage people to read more about it.
Can anyone grow hemp in
the UK? You can't do it. I mean, you need a type of authorization from the government. And yeah, unfortunately, it's still illegal, even though you can't do anything with it. I mean, you can't smoke it, so then it doesn't make sense why people cannot still grow it freely.
So currently, if people also like to get hemp, they have to get from abroad, I suppose.
Mainly in China, yeah.
In China.
Mainly in China or Romania, where it's mainly produced, yeah.
Is that where you get your hemp supplies?
I had to order it online. Actually, no, I had it from this guy in the UK that has a hemp farm, and I think he's one of the only one in the UK.
Okay. And he's allowed to.
Yeah, he's allowed to grow it. He's allowed to grow it.
Probably has like a special permit or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see people becoming more aware of the benefits of using hemp, or you still think it's an uphill struggle?
I think people will become more aware of the benefits of hemp if we carry on talking about it. I think people knew already the benefits of hemp. It's just that because it was illegal, no one was had the balls to really do anything with it until there was like this new revolution of food. Like everyone is trying to get healthier, and that's when people realized that actually hemp seeds and hemp oil are really, really good for us. But I don't want to focus on the hemp. The nutrition part of hemp.
Yeah.
I want to focus more on the on hemp as a material, because plastic has to go. We have to do something about plastic and even wood in general. It has to stop. When you think how it's damaging the ocean or even the beaches, when we can create something that is completely 100% biodegradable, like really. It cannot hurt. It cannot harm the nature in any way. So we have to find a way of replacing plastic. The plastic that is harming the environment, and hemp is the solution. It really is a solution. So
even in the process of creating hemp as a sturdy, solid like plastic replacement, there's no toxic output that comes.
There will be a tiny bit, but it's
in
not
comparison
to plastic. It's not even the same. It's not close. Yeah. So hemp is the answer.
Do you have any? Are there any manufacturers that are with you on this, are pushing hemp as their main sourcing materials, or some
there are some startups that are studying using hemp as a material. I've seen one in was it Spain or Italy, I'm not sure, that they're studying having 3D hemp filaments.
Okay, yeah, that's
and
cool.
That's amazing, and that's 1 year way of a revolution actually, if you can have 3D hemp filament. So those ones are the ones that I really do respect. But it's starting. It's becoming more and more available. It's just that people don't really know about it, and this is why I'm here to try to say to people, hey, let's try to use this.
Yeah.
At least let's try.
Yeah.
Do
you think that the same sort of revolution that will change will change people's opinions on hemp is the same sort of revolution that will change people on marijuana as well? Like we're both fighting for the fight for marijuana and the fight for hemp are kind of like the same battle. So if one wins, the other will win as well.
I think where is the freedom if plants are illegal in the first place? How can they make a plant illegal? Who are they to start saying that, oh, this plant is illegal? Who decided that? The government did, but what makes you think that hemp or marijuana will kill more than alcohol when facts prove that is the way around? What is going on here? There's
no debate about it. There's how many the deaths from alcohol every year is in the tens of thousands or something like that. But
I'm not saying that parents should encourage their kids to smoke weed. I'm not saying that. I still believe that smoking weed is not for everyone. But I don't believe that cannabis in general should have been illegal. Yeah. I've never heard anyone going completely mental or mad and started killing people or raping people or because he was high on weed. Most of the time, when I see people smoking weed, they're really relaxed people that just want to have fun, and they're laughing and they're sharing really weird stories.
Yeah.
And that is that is it. And it makes people creative, and it makes people more, I don't know, it can be a social thing, and it can't be a social thing at the same time. But I don't see how we can say that we're living in a free world where a plant is illegal.
Some people would say like, oh, it brings out schizophrenic if someone already has like
but that is the reason why I'm saying that weed is not for everyone. It's like alcohol is not for everyone. It's like sugar is not for everyone. People that have diabetes can eat sugar. It's like saying that coffee is not for everyone. The excess of doing everything is really bad.
Yeah.
But how would you know if you didn't try it? And that's what I always say to people: try it if you're really responsible of what you're doing.
And then from there come to a conclusion. But we are the generation of curiosity. We have to try things in order to know. Like when you know that it's bad, you always know when you don't have to do something. But if you're curious of doing it, then you know that you're surrounded by good people and you know what you're doing, try it. But I've never heard anyone that smokes weed once and started being schizophrenic or having I don't know. You can get paranoid, of course, but that's when you don't know why you're smoking. Because you have skunk and you have good weed and you have everything that is homegrown, and usually it's good. But just be careful what you're doing and with who you're doing. Although I kind of think that it might be, as part of it is the type of weed that they're smoking, but
definitely you have to know what you're putting in your body. You have to know.
And although some of it, part of it, I really think it's this desire not to like look into, because weed is really cool for like looking at yourself in a way, because that anxiety and that paranoia comes from you. Well, I feel it can come from you like looking in yourself and not really being happy or comfortable with what you see, and then then you start questioning, is this me, or you're, because you're in a different state, you're uncomfortable with that. It makes you see yourself for who you are. I really think that weed is very useful for like revealing things
from your personality.
So if you're not comfortable with that side of your personality, that might make you more anxious and uncomfortable, and then you say,
but that works with a lot of drugs, I guess. I'm not saying that I do drugs, but but I think that just works for a lot of drugs. But the thing with weed is just that when you're smoking, while you're smoking, you have the sativa kind and you have the indica kind, and all of them have different strain and different type and different colors and different taste, and you just need to know what you're really looking for. If you need to more relax, if you wanna laugh more, or if you wanna be more creative, or you just, I don't know.
You have to know what you're inhaling.
You have to know, and that's the reason why weed shouldn't keep being illegal, because that's why drug dealers gonna carry on putting whatever they want in weed, while the government can literally control what they're growing and what is safe for the population in general, and they can make a lot of money out of it, instead of just letting people smoke. I don't even know what. And then they're trying to
banging them.
Just it doesn't make any sense. Just legalize things that doesn't harm anyone, and that is it.
Because I always read of like people who, when people say that they're against weed, it's because it harms. It's this idea that weed will harm the person who's smoking it. So like it makes them. It's very addictive. It's a gateway drug. From weed that you're gonna go to more dangerous things, or feel more, that you're more. It's easier to be curious about. Okay, if you're gonna be curious about weed, why aren't you curious about, say, heroin, or why aren't you curious about something that's maybe not as what we would think is not as safe as.
But I don't think there is a bad thing about curiosity as long as you know where your limits are. And that is again my own opinion. And those people that are saying that are people that are just scared for their kids, or in general they just don't know what they're talking about. I know a lot of people that are smoking weed daily have never tried heroin, because we know that heroin is it's bad. We clearly know that heroin is bad, but we've never. I just don't know how can weed harm you comparing to heroin. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yes, it's not a fair comparison. I guess
it really depends on anyone's personality. If you have an addictive personality, you should tell yourself already, okay, I'm gonna try weed once, know what it is, and I'm not gonna abuse it. If you know that you're someone that knows how to control yourself more, just control yourself. I don't know, but don't tell people what to do in the first place if you don't know what you're talking about. I still don't know why people don't say the same thing about alcohol. It's killing me. It's killing me. I really have the feeling that some parents would rather see their kids drinking than smoking weed, when they know that drinking probably will kill them quicker.
Yeah, I wonder what that is. It's like it's fine when parents see, well, we want to say fine for all parents, but in general, even strict parents if you came with a can of beer or something, or like a bottle, any form of alcohol, that's more acceptable than a joint. But it's again, it's that stigmatization of weed being bad, and it's really affected the older generation in a way. So if they see any of their children smoking weed or being around weed, then it's just a definite no. And it's hard to break that.
Stigma will take time to change. It will take a long time to change, but it's changing. I mean, we are the generation that will make it change. I think for our parents, it's just about us educating them, because I think it's a bit too late for them to accept the fact that weed is not that harmful. I'm not saying that weed is a good thing, but I'm just saying that if you know what you're doing, it's not a bad thing.
Have you had that sort of like talk with your parents? Or?
No, and I don't think it's gonna happen anytime. Just because I know that there is no point. Like when I know my parents, and I know that they're not ready to change their mind on weed, and that's the reason I don't waste my time starting with them. I know. But if one day I had to have this conversation, obviously I will tell them my opinion on weed and hemp. But right now I just don't see the point. I don't wanna worry them, because like at the end of the day, I'm from Africa, and it's not something that you can just say, "Hey, Dad, I smoked weed yesterday." That will not go really well. So no, I haven't spoke about that to my parents.
Because what happens then if, like, say in the future, because you've told me about wanted to like take hemp back to Africa and do a lot of things with material, with like growing hemp farms and stuff like that. But it would because of the stigma of marijuana, of hemp, or hemp in general, or weed in general, like, do you think it's gonna be difficult to do it, or like how do you see yourself like convincing people that have like a negative connotation of weed and hemp and
the thing is, like, I know that hemp can save like a part of Africa. I am sure about it. When I see the benefits of hemp, knowing how bad the pollution is at the moment in Africa, knowing that a lot of companies are cutting trees there, how the water is getting polluted because of everything that they're trucking in the water. They can stop cutting trees in Africa. We have one of the best wood in Africa. when I see that we can feed a lot of children in Africa just with hemp because it's really rich in protein, when I see that we can make oil and clothes with hemp with just one plant, I start thinking to myself, I should just go there and do it. And then after making it, they're gonna understand how good that plant is, and they're not gonna think of how bad people think that it is. Once they will see, I'm pretty sure that once they will see the outcome, the positive outcome of that plant, I'm sure that they won't really care, because hemp again is not the same thing as marijuana. It doesn't. If you don't smoke it. If I go to Africa and start a hemp farm, if they want to smoke it, let them smoke it. But at the end of the day, they won't get high. So they won't have any reason to stop me starting something that can help Africa as a continent, or Congo as a country. But then we never know. We never know what can happen.
I think that in general, like, Africa is starting to. It has so much potential, and it has so much things that can happen that can just push it to the limelight of the world, because all the problems that are going on with the EU, all of the problems that are going on with like America, then it seems the only place, like Asia's starting to, in countries in Asia start to like work together to become like a dominant for China is going to be doing a lot. And I feel that Africa in this next few decades can like grow to become something really powerful, but it just needs like the right decisions and the right steps in the right direction.
They really need the right people. I think. Even if we have the right direction, if we don't have the right people and the right mindset, I don't think things will change that much. But yeah, you're right. Africa has a lot of potential. It's just that no one sees the potential in Africa. But it's sad. Yeah.
I think there's more positives that can come out of it. Maybe I'm just optimistic, but I kind of think that, for example, you see the benefits of like utilizing hemp to in Africa and in Congo, and then helping people to then see the benefits, and then that will create more manufacturing in Congo or Africa in general, or even wherever it is. Like they will see the benefit. But if it's particularly Africa, then from there more things can happen, because then people turn and see like the benefit. Look, Sarah did something in Congo and it's helping people. Like there are a lot of people in Africa that are starting to do movements. Like there's startup culture in Kenya or in Nigeria. Like Mark Zuckerberg came to a few countries to see like tech cuts people that were starting to do quite innovative things there, but no one's talking about it because everyone likes to have the perception of Africa being like this, like
the devil.
Yeah, like or just disease and barren. And but there's so many beautiful cities there. There's so many beautiful people there. There's so many amazing things that are happening, but no one's really talking about. I think it's our duty as well. Us, the kids that are in Europe but are originally from Africa. I think we are the one that are actually not changing the things properly. Most of us are getting educated in Europe or wherever in the Western countries, and instead of going back to Africa and helping Africa, we staying here and trying to prove something to the Western world when would they need us back home. And I think we are the one that has to make the first step, because at the end of the day we
kids in Africa don't have the same opportunities that we do have. They don't have the same education that we do have. They know more than we do. I'm pretty sure that they know better in life than we do. But it's our duty to start like telling people, hey, Africa is not that bad. This is what we can do there. This is how we can change that. But yeah, and so we have to start somewhere. And instead of saying to others like Africa has to change, let's change it ourselves first.
Like be the person that you be, the symbol of change that you want. So if you want change to happen, then you have to create that change.
I mean, I could start the hemp project in Europe, but how would that? I don't know. I think it would help more Africa than anywhere else. Speaking as an African, yeah.
When I've talked to some people and about like going back to Africa, like why don't you go back to Africa to do this? So I think a lot of you families that have children in Europe, because of the children who are raised in Europe, because the idea of going back to Africa seems alarming, because it's like, back, I was never there. Like that's the home I was raised in. I was raised in Europe or America or wherever it is, or not Africa. So the idea of going back to a place that they've never been seems weird, because it's like they because even though that maybe their parents or their parents have brought that culture into their home. So let's say you're born in London but your parents are Nigerian, so in your house you always have that Nigerian sort of culture. The idea of going back to Nigeria, it seems weird, because I've always lived here. So it's like it's still that anxiety about going to a new place and then.
You've never been to Nigeria?
I wasn't talking for myself, but
a lot of people.
Yeah, but particularly I haven't been to Nigeria since I was a baby. I'm gonna be going in December for a month, but I've been looking forward to going to Nigeria for a while, because I haven't been. I wanted to go like ages ago, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, but I think people need to understand that the anxiety of going back to Africa is normal, because you've never been there. It's like me saying that I'm gonna go to the Alaska. It's somewhere that I've never been to, but they need to understand that Africa is part of them. That's their identity. At the end of the day, they look African, even though they were born here. Your physical appearance says that you're black. You're not a Western person, and just because of that, you should research about your history. You can't really know who you are if you don't know your history or where you're coming from. Even though your parents brought you here, you're still not white. Like people wouldn't like treat you the same way as a white person, and it's still happening in 2017, and people still need to understand that. It's you're black. Try to understand where you're from. You can't keep denying that you're African. You can't. Your physical appearance says you're African. So just try to know where you're from at least. Even though you don't speak the language, even though you don't dance like an African, at least know your history.
Yeah, I think I'm very if I can only speak for myself about this, but like I'm very curious about like Nigerian history, about Yoruba history, Yoruba culture, and I'm always looking and finding out things that I didn't know, so I can just learn about my culture, learn about the history that my family have, and the history of Nigeria and the history of Africa in general. I like to read and research about all this type of stuff. But I think my concern is the idea of like there's a difference between saying like, yeah, let me look at my culture, let me look at where I came from, and then saying, okay, this is my culture isn't the place where I was born. my culture is the place where my family was from. I think culture grows. Culture is where you reside in. So if you can't, it's hard to claim a culture from a place that you never were surrounded by. So if you're surrounded by not for my family, let's say you were born and raised in Europe and all you knew was European lifestyles and way to live in a European way, it's hard to say to that person who is technically European because that's where they were born and raised.
But that's what I'm saying, that even if culturally you don't see yourself as African, at least know your story, your history, at least, because I don't see how a kid can grow for like 25 years in a country and act as an African growing up, for example, in London. That is, it's really unusual. But I really respect those kids that grew up in Europe, America, Asia, wherever, but they still know about their history. I think that that is the most important thing that foreigners, kids, mostly coming from Africa, need to learn just the history. And because they will know about the history, they will automatically be interested about their culture and automatically understand what is the power behind their culture. And that's all I can say. And it's partly like our parents' fault as well. Like they took us in the Western countries, and they didn't really put an effort of telling us who we really are. They just wanted us to adapt ourselves in this Western world, to speak English, act like them, but they forgot to tell us where we were from, teach us our language, the African language. And it's sad because we can do both. We literally can do both. Living in Europe, we can act like European kids, and going back to Africa, we can still speak African. But it's becoming
any language,
but it's becoming really hard to find that. I am really lucky that my parents still speak Swahili to me, because that's the reason why I'm not lost when I go back to Africa. And I really love the history of Congo in general. The history of East Congo in general. It's a beautiful thing. And if I didn't know about the story of Congo, I wouldn't be interested about about the culture and all the beauty of Congo.
And when you say like the history of Congo, it's not like a lot of people have this idea that the history of any African country it's like slavery, after slavery, and then what's going on now. But African countries have stories that surpass all the like ideas of slavery and colonization. All of that. There's more to Africa than just like what the kind of stories that we read in our history books, in Western history books, where it's just.
I think Africans are the most welcoming people. In general, people need to go to Africa to understand how welcoming they are and how kind and help. Yeah, there's just like a different mentality and culture. And even though we had war, slavery, disease, when you go to Africa and you see how happy people still are, it's a lesson for life. It's literally, you still ask yourself, how are they so happy in the misery when we have everything? We have cars, laptops, drugs, sex, whatever it is, school, clothes, and we're still unhappy daily. We're suffering of anxiety and depression and all those mental disease, and you're still wondering, where are they coming from, where we have everything to be happy. But then you go to Africa and they have all the reason to have anxiety and depression, but they still smile daily and every day. They're still, they're still strong. So yeah.
When was the last time you went to Congo?
Last time I was in Congo was 8 years ago, but I'm planning to go back. But I want to make sure that when I go back to Africa, I have a plan. I want to have a plan. Like, I want to do something there.
Like, say, the growing the hemp farm, or...
Before I do that, I want to make sure that it's possible first. Yeah. But that would be my dream. That would be my goal in life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my first step is to educate people with hemp, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Is that how you would you say as an would you call yourself an artist, or would you say that that's your title first and foremost, or
am I an artist?
Yeah.
How do you define artist?
Well, I guess an artist is someone who creates things, who communicates their being through the things that they create. So if you want to communicate if you communicate an idea through any sort of medium, whether it's like a painting, like the sort of paintings you were doing before, or like an installation project, I guess art is just communication. So a communicator of ideas.
Then yeah, I mean, I've been studying art since I am 13, 14. Mm-hmm. I'm 28 now, and I'm still in the art field. So I cannot call it nothing else than an artist, I would say, because I don't know anything else but that. I don't want to be arrogant, because I think that sometimes when people say that they're artists, it's like, something...
It sounds very pretentious.
Yeah, pretentious, but I can't call myself something else just because I don't know nothing else. Would
you say that like teaching and communicating the benefits of hemp is like one of your main goals as an artist?
I will try to, because I really do believe that hemp can make a difference in the world. So I will try to educate as many people as I can. Mm-hmm. And that would be good, really good, satisfying if I can do that.
I know that you're quite a curious person, that you like to if you are curious about something, then you want to try it, like you said, if you're curious, try it and see whether you like it or not. So I was very curious to know about if this extends to all areas of your life, or if there's if there are other places in your life where you want to highlight like curiosity being like a really important aspect into enjoying life and making the most out of life.
It's funny, because I don't really find myself that curious, because the bad side in me is like when I don't like something, I really don't like it. Mm-hmm. And when I love something, I'm really into it. And I think that is a bad thing, because it's really limiting my curiosity.
But that decision, they saying that this is bad and this is good, that comes from experience of trying. You trying something, then saying, okay, because I've tried it, then...
Yeah, but I would like to be more curious, because that's the only way I can learn more. Mm-hmm. I really want to learn about even things that I don't like. I remember that before I arrived in London, I was really against drugs. And because of my curiosity, now I learned about hemp. And that is the reason why I am focusing on hemp as a next project. And that is a lesson of don't stop your curiosity, because I was literally against drugs until I realized that I learned more about the negative sides and the positive sides of drugs, and my curiosity did help me there.
How did you, when you came to London, how did you did that change?
Oh my God! Well, I was living in a student hall, and I met I met this guy that told me more about drugs. And
and then from there
from there I just had a different perspective about drugs. I was still not for it, but I just did understand why some people were doing it. Yeah.
So why do you think some people, like when you say drugs, is because drugs is quite like a broad term. When you what type of drugs were they, like
when I'm talking about the fun drugs, not the I'm talking about not the drugs that helps you, that the doctor gives you, you know. I'm talking about, you know, like the drugs that you mostly find in London, like cocaine or MDMA pills.
Okay.
You know, those kind of.
Yeah, the fun drugs.
The fun drugs. The fun ones.
Why do you think like some people do take drugs, if in a way like?
Oh, it's definitely a getaway. It's definitely a getaway
from reality.
From reality, we're living in a world where people are more and more stressed. We have more and more anxiety and depression. Not even more responsibility actually, but everything is getting more expensive. We're getting more and more late bloomers. Like I don't know, my mom got married, she was 22. I'm 28, I'm still not thinking of it. And that is a way of it's sometimes I'm anxious about it, because like I'm like, what is going on with me? And I don't know how I got to this point, but I think we just have more stress, and that's the reason why people are taking more drugs
to like get out. Yeah, it's because the way the world is set up, there's a lot of stress and anxiety around everywhere.
Because like, well, as I said, like fun drugs. What would do we need drugs if we were happy people in general? You know, like if you are like really stable and we didn't need anything, what would do we take drugs if nothing is wrong with us, unless we're looking for something else?
Could you take drugs, and could you take drugs while you're still in a stable life? Like is it always like a getaway?
I think because some drugs just gives you different you just have different experience with them. You can get more creative with one drugs, you can get more happy with one drugs, the other one makes you more focused, the other one makes you more confident. It depends really which one you want to take. But you need to know where your limits are and what you're taking. Literally just that's it.
It's like there's a difference between taking you can't just say, someone just gives you like a tab of acid and okay, I'm just gonna take acid at this.
Unless you trust that person really well.
But you have to know, like, okay, this is acid, this is the effects it will take. This
you need to know where you're taking, of course.
And then so then you can understand like why you're taking, like,
you don't want to be like an anxious person, a depressed person, and start taking acid. You can end up really bad.
Or you can be good.
You can be good. That is so true. That is so true.
But regardless, it'll be a long experience.
Yeah. Mom, Dad, I don't do drugs. I just know about it. Yeah.
We talked about your pains at the beginning, but you don't have any plans of doing any more stuff like that in future?
Not at the moment, because I just don't have the mindset to carry on painting. Somehow I only paint when I'm sad, and at the moment I don't have any time to be sad. I've got so much on, so just right now I don't have the time to paint, and I'd rather focus on something that I'm really proud of. Because you saw my paintings and you really liked it, but when I see them, I'm not really proud of it, and I'm in the stage of my life where my ego has to go up, so I'm just gonna focus on things that I'm really proud of. That's pretty much it.
But isn't it as an artist, like when you see because when I saw your paintings, how long ago did you complete them?
I think it was 2 years, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I haven't painted. And last time I tried to paint it didn't go as well as I wanted to. So just I need to get back to it, but I think I need to be depressed.
You have to. So that's your state. That's the.
It's really weird, but I only like painting when I'm sad.
But even the paintings that I've seen, they don't even feel sad.
They don't even feel sad, but that's maybe how it makes me happier. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but since I'm really young, I only paint when I'm sad. It's my getaway. But I feel like I haven't had the time to be really sad recently that bad. I mean, I've been sad, but I've got so much on in my life to start thinking about it.
So when you're sad at this point, like are you just pushing the sadness away and say I don't have time?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna lose my shit soon. I'm gonna lose my shit soon. It's just that right now I need to focus on priorities.
Yeah. And once those things are out the way, you can.
Yeah, I will go back to painting, but not right now. Yeah.
Okay, I think this is good. I think this is good for now.
Lovely.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. I hope you found it interesting. Do like and share the podcast on whatever platform you listen to or watch it on. If you have any comments on this episode, please share it. I'll be very keen to hear what you have to say, and I'll definitely try and reply to it. Do like us on Facebook on It's Non-Interview for updates on all our episodes. I guess until next time, thanks for listening.